Hello everybody. My name is Janvi Goswami, and today we are here to discuss the MCQ of the chapter The Triumph of Surgery. Before starting the MCQ, let me give you a short summary of this chapter. This chapter starts with a character of a small dog whose name was Tricky. Tricky was overfed and loved by his mistress, Miss Pumphrey. She was a very rich lady, and due to this, she used to pamper her dog a lot, as she didn't even have any other member in her family. Now, when Mr. Heriot, a veterinary surgeon, saw that Tricky had become so fat that he could not even walk, he planned to take Tricky away from his home to his clinic. In the clinic, he did not give Tricky food for 2 days and only gave him a lot of water. For few days, Tricky did not show any interest in his surroundings. But after a few days, he started showing interest in his surroundings and started playing with the other dogs in the clinic. Now, Miss Pumphrey, as she was very worried about Tricky, she started sending Tricky gifts and food. The first thing, 2 dozen of eggs, then wine, and then finally brandies, which were taken or consumed by the other staff of the clinic. So now, at the end, Tricky had become muscular animal from fatty animal. So Miss Pumphrey came and took him away from that clinic and thanked Mr. Heriot for all his efforts. So now let us start the MCQs. The first MCQ is, who was Mr. Heriot? A veterinary surgeon, dog owner, gardener, or husband? As I told you in the summary, that who had treated Tricky? Mr. Heriot. So he was a veterinary surgeon. Option A. Okay. So now, other one is, who is the author of the story? Victor Canning, Robert Arthur, James Heriot, or Ruskin Bond? So it is James Heriot. Now the other one is, what problem did Miss Pumphrey think Tricky had? Malnutrition, allergies, diarrhea, or none of these. So Miss Pumphrey thought that Tricky had been very weak, so she started feeding him more. So that means that she thought he was suffering from malnutrition. Okay? So now the next one is, who loves cream cakes and chocolates? Miss Pumphrey, Mr. Heriot, Tricky, or Hodgkin? So Tricky loved cream cakes and chocolates. Now the next one is, who had become hugely fat like a blotted sausage with a leg at each corner? Tricky, Miss Pumphrey, Mr. Heriot, or none of the above? So Tricky had become hugely fat like a blotted sausage, as you can see in this picture. And why had he become such a fat dog? Because Miss Pumphrey used to feed him a lot. Now, who was Hodgkin? Here you can see in the image that he is gardening. So he is the gardener. Okay, he's the gardener. Now the next is, whom did Miss Pumphrey love the most? Mr. Heriot, her looks, money, or her dog Tricky? She loved her dog Tricky, as she felt that Tricky was the only one member of her family. Okay? Now, whom did the other dogs ignore? Mr. Heriot, Tricky, the cats, or none? So the answer is Tricky, because when Tricky was taken to the clinic, he did not talk to anyone as he was ill. So the other dogs felt that he was boring. So they ignored Tricky. Now, for how many days was Tricky given no food? As I told you in the summary, that he was not given food for 2 days, for 1 week, for 4 days, or after 1 day. So he was not given food for 2 days. He was only given water. Okay. Now, what did Miss Pumphrey bring at first? 2 dozen of eggs, 4 dozen of eggs, wine, or fruits? What did she get at first? She got 2 dozen of eggs. Okay. Now, why didn't the staff want Tricky to go back? Why didn't the staff want the Tricky to go back? Because Tricky was very happy with the other dogs. Because of Tricky, the staff used to get a lot of delicious food. Because the staff had been attached from Tricky. All of the above. So the answer is B. Because of Tricky, the staff used to get a lot of delicious food. as Miss Pumphrey used to keep sending gifts and delicious food for Tricky, and that were being consumed by the staff. Okay, so thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and comment, and please do share and subscribe. Thank you.